All right, so here's what we're going to do next. I need you to take your mat, because today we're going to do fan and pick. Yes. So, yes, I know we like fan and pick. So if you would flip your mat over.
Fine, just keep it there. Fine. We already know our numbers. It's very easy. And plus we can see.
Okay, attention please. 5. All right, here's what I need you to do. If the Jackie Robinson book is in your way, one person, just slide it in the top of your desk. Not the baggie, though. You need the baggie. And make sure that the person who's sitting in the spot that Shloke is in, make sure that they are the number 2 right now on your mat. So adjust your mat so that the person in Shloke's spot is the 2. Okay, and so if you are the fan person, if you're number 1, it's your job to fan the cards. So go ahead and take them out of your bag and do that. And before I have you pick, I need to tell you what we're actually going to be working on today. Everybody look at me. When we're finished with today's conversations in your groups, we are really going to be able to know how these 2 texts are alike and how they're different. We're going to compare and contrast them. And we already did that a little bit when we were talking about what type of book they are. But there's a lot of stuff in terms of our thinking that we also want to compare and contrast. So that's what's going to happen, and that's hopefully where we'll be when we finish. Got it?
Got it.
Good. All right, so we're going to change fan and pick just a little bit because I want us to all talk about the same question. So the person who is fanning them, you do your job, and if you are the pick person, I am going to ask you to pick the blue card. So go ahead and pick the blue card. And at this point, the person who picks, you know how it works, right? You're going to read the question, and I want you to have some conversation within your group. Read it out loud, and then have conversation working through the jobs on the fan and pick. Who has the most important job? Which one? Which number has the most important job, Nora?
4.
4, because you're the responder. Now, can other people respond after the responder?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's actually necessary. It's not just one person saying the answer. All right, go.
How was your point of view changed as you combined Jackie Robinson, strong inside and out, and research fact with a family story, testing the ice?
What was our how as you combine Jackie Robinson, research fact, family testing? Point of view. What's your point of view from? From both of them. What's your point of view?
Perspective.
Yeah.
Like, what's your perspective? Like, what do you like? What do you don't like?
Jackie Robinson, I like that.
Evan was the responder, so Evan, your choice? Wait a minute, he's the answer, yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I like about Jackie Robinson is that, like, he was like brave, that, like, because all those people throwing bad stuff, or like throwing stuff at him, and he really wanted to fight back, but he didn't. And testing the ice, he was really brave to go down on that ice and make sure it was safe for the kids. Even though he couldn't swim.
I can agree with you. He was really brave. Like, when people were just like stuff at him.
Say bad words, say everything.
He had the courage not to fight back.
Yeah,
And testing the ice, he had the courage and the bravery to go on the ice and check him.
So he was really brave on course.
So, and I agree with you.
The coach, Don Rickey. Well, what's his name? Don Rickey?
Okay, attention, please. 5. Or are you finished with your conversation?
Not yet. Almost.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Right. Well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to share. Okay. So if you are the number 2 in your group, I would like you to come to the front of the room. And you can you don't have to bring the question, I guess, because we all have the same one. So you can leave it at your desk. But everybody come up to the front. All right, so before we start, just to clarify for everybody, who wants to read the question out loud? Mia, you read the question and read it really loud so everybody can hear.
How has your point of view changed changed as you combine Jackie Robinson, strong inside and out, and research facts with a family story testing the ice?
Okay, so as you put the 2 stories together, with what we learned from the nonfiction, the facts, and we collected all of our facts up here, and as you put the 2 together, how has your point of view changed? Or we've been talking about perspective. What maybe changed in your mind about Jackie? Anybody volunteer to go first? Don't jump at once. Anybody want to go? Schluck. Go ahead. How has your point of view maybe changed, or how was it altered a little bit as you read the 2 stories?
My point of view changed because of like in Jackie Robinson Facts Inside and Out, it has like facts and stuff, and it has like chapters with facts.
Okay.
And real pictures, but in Testing the Ice, it's like a picture book story.
So what changed for you, though, in your opinion, about Jackie Robinson? Did anything change? Did you start to think about him differently?
Yeah.
How?
Because Jackie Robinson couldn't swim.
Right. He couldn't swim. And was that something that we knew from the fact book?
No.
No. But what else? How else might it have changed? Noah, can you kind of add to that?
I'll try. I think my point of view was changed when I saw that they were friends with some white people. I'm like, wow, so those white people actually believe that black people are the same as white. Absolutely.
Absolutely, because there was evidence in Testing the Ice that everybody can be friends. So that's a very cool thing. How else did we see Jackie differently in Testing the Ice? From whose perspective was the story told? William?
In Jackie Robinson's Strong Inside and Out, it was talking about him as a baseball player, but in Testing the Ice, it was like the family, like he really wasn't never a baseball player.
Yeah, that was the huge thing. I'm so glad that you caught that. Jackie Robinson, the nonfiction book, it was all about the whole baseball thing. But in Testing the Ice, it was about him as a dad. You know, and we all have dads. We may not all have famous baseball players in our families, but we all have dads. And so I think what it did for me is it made it even more real. Anybody else agree with that, Lucas? Did it make it more real for you to read Testing the Ice and learn about him as a dad?
Yeah.
You feel that it did, Noah?
Now I know why you said it's told by a whole different perspective. One's baseball and one is being fact.
Woo! That's exactly what we wanted. Good deal. All right, you guys sit down. So now we're ready for round 2 of Fan and Pick. So move your mat, shift it because now you have a different job. Regie. Right now in round 2, you're the fan person. You're going to pull them out. The pick person, you're going to pick the pink card. You may go.
Who would Jackie's daughter write a story about her famous baseball?
Jackie's daughter write a story about a famous baseball father that was not about baseball.
Well, maybe because Maybe she wrote about it after her father died to remember her father and the world could know that her father was more into some other stuff than baseball. I kind of like agree, but like, well, I agree because like, I'm just wondering why she wrote about testing on ice. I wonder why. That's the question. Yeah, I mean, look at the sign. It says things aren't always what it seems. Like, but he is great, I say. Yeah. It's pretty great. Yeah. Welcome to that. Okay, do you have any comments? Everybody, even though we already just people to think about just baseball and all the baseball, and she wants people to see like testing the ice and see different perspectives of him. I agree that she probably thought that too.
She wanted everyone to know that it wasn't always just him being famous and everyone wants to know him as a famous baseball player. She wrote this book because she wants to know he's a good dad too.
Nice.
That's what I was thinking.
Love it. Nice.
Yeah, even though he can't swim, he's still a good dad. What matters if he can't swim? That's saying.
All right.
She's doing it for the kids.
5, 4. Okay, everybody finished with discussion?
Yes.
For the most part, maybe you could have, how many of you could have talked about it a little longer? You would have liked more time. Okay, maybe the next time we'll slow down a little bit. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before, but this time, if you are the 4 in your group, I would like you to come to the front of the room. Yes, the 4. The responder is coming to the front. And then I need a volunteer to read the question and read it loud and clear so we're all very sure we know what we're talking about. Evan.
Why would Jackie's daughter write a story about her famous baseball father who was not about baseball?
So why would she do this? Why would she write about this awesome, famous dad? Aubrey, what do you think?
Because she doesn't really brag about how her dad is a famous baseball player. She just loves how she is his daughter and how he is her father and how strong he is.
Great answer. Leela.
Because he did something brave by walking on the ice when he couldn't swim.
Yeah. What was that brave thing? Well, I guess you just said it. He walked on the ice. And he couldn't swim. And so I think that that's really important for us to stop and think about that. And you both of the ladies said it very well. She knew him in a little bit different way. Charlie?
Even though he was a famous baseball player, she wanted everyone to know that he's just not a famous baseball player. He's a great dad, too. He's a famous dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. How many of you feel like you have a famous dad just because he's so cool and he does things that are brave? I do. Yeah, I do. And so that's why she wanted the world to know. How many of you would love to write a story about how great your dad is and have everybody read it? Exactly, and I think that that's what she was thinking about as a daughter. Hey, this is my dad, and this is something that happened in our family, and I know he's famous for baseball, but here's something else. Anybody want to add to that? Wow, you guys hit a home run. Hit it out of the park.
Grand slam.
Grand slam. All right, sit down. Nice job. You guys are doing excellent. I love looking in your brains. So swivel your card.
And
if you are the fan person, do your job. The pick person this time is going to pick green.
Pick the card, the green card. I make it work.
how did Jack show bravery in professional and private life? Well, he showed. Can you read that one more time?
Here, just look at it.
No.
Okay.
How did Jackie show bravery in professional and private life? He shows bravery because he didn't always do everything for himself. He did it for other people. He didn't, like in the ice, if he fell, he was so brave, he went for the kids. So if the kids fell in, he'd be sad. So he's trying to help the kids because it's so hard for them. It may be a little hard for them to skate because what if there's a crack and they fall in? He thinks that he should check the ice because he's gonna do it. He's doing it for the kids. I think if he fell in, he would be brave for the kids to not stay in and him to maybe go in. So yeah,
I think he's brave on both parts because he's brave that he doesn't fight back to people when they fight to him, and when he does stuff for his family a lot, so their family doesn't get hurt.
how did Jackie show bravery in professional and private life? In his private life, and in his professional life, he opened doors for African American people. He did something really good for our people. He even saved some people's lives. African American slavery.
5, 4. It's hard to stop talking, isn't it? When you're in a good conversation. This time I would like the number 2. If you are a 2, would you please come to the front? And then I need a wonderful volunteer in the audience to read the question loud and clear. Charlie D.
How did Jackie show bravery in his professional and private life?
How did he show bravery in his professional and private life? Who wants to give it a shot? Let's have Dan.
Because in one story, he did something like, for his private life. He walked on ice for his children to play skating. On the other one, he was opening doors for African Americans.
Okay. And so what about both of those things? So could we say, oh, well, no big deal? What about those 2 things that he did?
Very brave.
Yeah, was very brave. Very brave. Anybody want to add to that? Evan?
He was brave when, like, he was walking on the ice. He'd rather fall in the water than the kids falling in, because he'd be more sad about the kids. And he was being brave, and he was also being brave in Jackie Robinson Strong Inside and Out, because he was like trying to let other African Americans come also be able to play professional baseball.
Yeah. And let us just remember that in that book, we learned about something that was going on in that time period in the country that made that hard. What was that called? Those of you out here, what was it called at that time, in that time period in our country? Mia?
Segregation.
Segregation. And so what was it when Jackie decided to be brave and he tried to, we say that he opened doors for others, Why, what do you exactly mean by that? What did we read was the risk that he was taking? Quinn?
He was like opening doors, not like opening that type of door. He was opening doors so that black people could do sports and ride in the front of a bus.
Exactly, but why did he need to be brave to do that? Why was that such a big deal? Why did that take some great courage and some really big time bravery? Luke?
Because the white people didn't want the black people to do any of that.
Okay. Evan, you want to add to it?
He can't fight back.
There you go. Remember, who was it that he talked with a lot? Who was it that he talked to a lot about that whole thing, Nora? Branch Rickey. Who was that guy?
He was a white person that really believed in Jack.
Yeah, he really believed in him, and he was the manager of the Dodgers, correct? Okay, and so he told him that you cannot fight back. He made that very clear, and we talked a lot about how hard that would have been. Okay, so I think that we can definitely see some connections between those two stories. All right, you guys may have a seat. You did a nice job. And last but not least, we're going to do round 4, so shift your mats.
I'm the answer. I'm the answer.
And then there's only one card.
How does the testing? How does testing the ice and the information provided in that story differ from the other? Testing the ice and the information provided in that story differ from the other Jackie Robinson resources.
Let me read that. No, you can't talk. You can't talk till you can't talk. The answer and the then the response. How does this?
Yeah, she already read it. Didn't you listen?
Yeah, I'm just rereading it. There's an information in that story.
You having a hard time with that one? Kevin, you are the responder. Or wait, you answered the question. You're the responder.
But he didn't answer yet.
Okay, but sometimes when somebody is struggling with the answer, what is the job of the rest of the people in the group? So can you give him some ideas?
How does testing information provided in the story
Can you guys help him? Because remember, it becomes everybody's job in the group if somebody's stuck on a question.
I think the whole group is stuck.
You think the whole group is stuck? Well, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes questions are hard. So how does testing the ice and the information provided in that story differ from the other Jackie Robinson resources? So that word differ means, how are they different?
Because in Jackie Robinson, inside, strong inside and out, they have facts and like real pictures they took.
Okay, and so how is testing the ice different?
In testing the ice, it's like he's like a great father, and it's not telling about anybody's.
Okay. Responder, what would you say to that?
I would probably agree with that because
Did you think this question was hard?
Yes.
All right. Well, and that's why a lot of times when we're reading text that's difficult and there's that connection there and you're trying to do some hard thinking, sometimes more than one brain is necessary. Sometimes more than one brain is a good thing. All right, this is our last round, so I would like the 4s to come to the front. If you are a 4 in this round,
Why do you need it? Why do you need it? Fighting over a darn little card. Not a big deal.
I need everybody to turn their voices off. And we need to be good listeners, so that means we're looking up here in the front. Eye contact. Okay, so who would like to read the question aloud? Leela?
How does testing the ice and the information provided in that story differ from the other Jackie Robinson resources?
So that word differ. Maybe that was the part that was hard. How are they different? What do you think? Who wants to give that a shot? Aiden, you're the man.
I think they're different because one's about like this famous baseball player and did all the baseball stuff, and the other's about his life with his life as a dad. And, yeah.
Okay, so one's about baseball and one's about being a dad. Do you guys agree with that? Okay. Any other reasons, the way that they're different? Anybody want to add to that? Anybody out here have an idea? Shloke?
In one of the stories, it tells about him as a baseball player and like that. And in testing the ice, it tells like he's like a good father and a great dad.
Charlie?
In testing the ice, he sacrificed his life for his kids.
He sure did. And you bring up a really good point, Charlie. He sacrificed his life for his kids. Was he sacrificing anything? What do you think? Was he sacrificing anything then in his baseball life? As a baseball player and what he was doing? Was there a sacrifice there? What do you think, Nora?
I think there was, because he sacrificed himself to play on the baseball team, and white people couldn't hurt him.
People could have hurt him, and he had to sacrifice. You know, he endured a lot of name calling and a lot of hardships, and so we talked about what he sacrificed when we were reading that book. Does anybody remember what that is? It's the way you feel about yourself. It begins with a P. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember? It was a while ago. Charlie?
Provided.
No. That begins with P though. Amrita? Well, and he was persistence. But when you feel good about yourself, Matthew? Proud. He sacrificed his pride. Okay, so I think that in those two stories, he was sacrificing different things. One was maybe, you know, his own safety, his life, but yet it was sort of the same thing in the other book. It was his pride, but it could have been his life as well. All right, you guys did an excellent job. You guys may have a seat. And I want you to just put the bags in the center. And if you were the person that put the book inside your desk, please get that out. And inside the book, there are some pages that I want you to pull out. And I want everybody to get one of those sheets that's inside the Testing the Ice book. When you get that, please put your name on it.
You don't have to pass it out. No, everybody got it. You didn't get yours. So you just have to pass it out. Keep it in the middle.
Yeah, just stay in your spot.
She didn't pass it out.
Yeah.
I don't have
I do, but...
Reggie, at this point, you're going to start working in your teams. And you're going to think about now all of this information that we have about Jackie Robinson. You know, we've talked a ton about all of these facts that we learned about him over the course of the two books. So this is what we call our evidence. This is how we know that what we're saying about something is true, because we found it within the text. And so your job, if you look at this, it's a character map. Because we're going to really think about how we would describe Jackie Robinson to somebody who may not know him. Somebody who may not have read these two books. And so at the top of the character map, I would like you to write Jackie Robinson. And it's right here, so you want to make sure that you spell his name correctly. So copy that down in the big bubble at the top, because he is our character. And when we say character, you know, in the past we always think of that as a made-up person. But we would also say that in our story that we read, he is the person that the story is about. So we use that same word. Now you notice the word trait. Trait 1, trait 2, trait 3. There are 3 bubbles and they're kind of shaded gray. Those are going to be 3 words that you would use to describe Jackie Robinson. And that's where I want you to really think about that, and I want you to talk that over with your shoulder partner. Your conversation is going to be with your shoulder partner. So you're going to decide on 3 words that would describe Jackie, and those 3 words are going to go in the shaded bubble. If you notice, then hanging off of the shaded bubble, there are 3 boxes with that word that we hear all the time now. It's called evidence. Because if you're going to use a word to describe Jackie, you have to give reasons why. And those reasons can't be just something you make up. You can't just say, oh, well, he's nice. Well, of course he's nice. Or you can say, oh, he's awesome. Oh, he's really cool. Because that's not, there's not evidence of that. Those are, and actually those are more opinions, right? So you are going to think about the evidence that you know to be true, and you can use the poster to help you. You can use the books to help you. And you're going to fill out the character map. You may not get this finished. We're going to work on this for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, and then we're going to be done. We'll finish this later, but I want you to get started on it. Sitting in the middle of your groups are some of those words that we've been talking about, some of our vocabulary words that we've talked about through this whole unit. All right, so you may go. You may begin. You can just join in with you two. Okay, so the 3 of you.
Alright, 3 boys with 1 boy and a girl. Okay, we'll take this first, and you get the book first. Actually, citizen. Let's check in this. This is where we should look.
Or how about nobody gets it?
Justice. Wait, I gotta borrow that. Hey, there's something on there that I have to Justice. Justice, right? Justice. That's 1.
What's the problem?
Aiden, can you see it? I got it.
You're saying that one book is theirs.
No, we're not going to fight over books because we're all going to share them.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but instead of doing that, how about you get busy?
Or we could just copy off there.
Well, but you still have to put words here that you can't copy off of the chart. But yes, those things there are can be some of your evidence.
I agree with that.
But you need to get busy. You're wasting lots of time.
What are you writing for? What evidence?
Just as.
Alright, let's look from here. Let's see it.
Wait, you know what? Let's put it right here. You're gonna have to go like this.
Okay, where do you think we should find justice in one of these categories?
Well, let's
Jackie.
You guys are totally on the right track, but when you say he never gave up,
Welcome to the big leagues.
no, you need to be more specific. How did he never give up? So, what I was
He has team of 25. Jeez. In football, baseball, track, and basketball.
That's what you need to also add in that box. Because that's what's
First, let's also do. Let's just write the 3 traits. Evidence.
That's what I want, is what comes from the text. Got it? Okay, you're
This is
totally on the right track.
bad. It's too big that I can't fit in this hand.
Every single time I do it, and then
Okay, so you guys have a great start. So now that you have teamwork, what evidence from the text shows you that he worked as a team? He worked in a team.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, so just this.
Okay, he was on a baseball team. That's one of a more obvious one.
That's it. Just 1 page back. Wait, no. Oh, I thought you said that. Just at the end. That's it. No one else. Okay, you read that. Okay, what's another one? You can read that part, and I'll read some of this.
He never gave up when he wanted to be baseball.
How's that team getting on him? Yeah. He never gave up when What? He never gave up when people were born. We didn't want to. We're doing justice. Just switch sides. Like what we did. Okay. Well, what do you think about it? Well, good seeing you all.
He used to fill up all the evidence.
He tried to make he tried to play good with his teammates, even though the white people didn't like him.
3G, can I have your attention, please? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but something that I want to clarify, because I've noticed a mistake that some of you are making. You're just putting a very general comment in the evidence box, like maybe you're just copying the definition of the word, and that's not what I want you to do. I want you to think about the story. And what is your evidence from the story? You need to give me something very specific that happened within the story that proves. So if you're saying Jackie is determined, I agree. But you can't just say he was determined because he stuck with it and didn't give up. That's the definition of determined. What shows us in the stories, the 2 stories? I can think of probably 5 things, boom, 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 that show determination. That's what I want you to put. Keep going. You have about 3 or 4 minutes.
Determination to play baseball. For justice.
Right now, you're probably not going to do it.
Yeah, we are. I would prefer
Good, I love that.
Jackie Robinson basically just became famous because he was 5th African American.
And he was good at playing baseball.
the justice. He gave justice to all the white and black people.
I wonder if they retired number 5 for baseball.
We're actually gonna.
What's up, hon?
What to do with the other evidence?
Which one?
More evidence.
It didn't really do teamwork.
How did he do that? You just said he did it. What proves that he did it? What happened in the story? You're giving big answers. I want you to get down and give me something that is in detail about how did he do that? You said that he did that. How?
C-O-U-R-D.
You can write in the evidence box.
That's what you write. This is not easy work. This isn't something that you can fill in 2 seconds. I want you to really think about how did he do that? You're totally on the right track, but you're going to have to dig down and do some more thinking about that. What proves, what do we know that he did? Why aren't you guys moving forward?
We're on justice.
Okay.
So,
Alright, well, you don't have much time left, so
do you think we should do
see if
that?
you can do as much thinking as possible in the next 2 minutes.
Free justice? Right. Wait, he wanted to
You
what?
have 2 minutes, boys and girls.
He wanted to... I know. Let's...
Remember, the expectation is not for you to finish.
P-L-A-Y.
Are you guys okay?
Yeah. I didn't know there's 2 more.
There's 3 pieces of evidence for each one. And what you want to think about is maybe picking something from each book. You can use both books. Good.
What team was he on?
Awesome. Can I use yours as an example? Can I use yours? Awesome. All right, 3G. Attention, please. Okay, at this point, we're going to wrap it up. Okay, but I want to use somebody's sheet as an example. All right, and I asked permission, Charlie and Paige, they did a really nice job. On the persistence, they picked persistence as one of Jackie's traits. Did anybody else pick persistence? Okay. Yep, got it. And so the evidence that they picked, or that they wrote down, they said that Jackie did not give up when he was called names. Does that show persistence?
Yeah.
Is that what?
I don't know what it means.
Well, it's on your page right there. Persistence. You don't ever give up.
Oh.
So was he called names in the story?
Yeah.
Did he stop because somebody called him a name?
No.
Does that show persistence?
Yes.
Is that right from the text?
Yes.
Yes. The other thing they put is that he didn't quit when he was booed. People were booing. So they called him names, they booed. Both of those are very specific. And the third thing is from testing the ice. When the big bubble came up and it went boom, and everybody was scared, and there was that moment where they thought, oh no, the ice is cracking. Did he run?
No.
No. He stayed right there. He never gave up, and he tapped it a couple more times, and then he knew we were safe, that the ice was okay. Those are very specific things that happened in the books, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, nice job, you two. So to end our lesson, we're going to stop right now and we'll move back into this later. If you have a book open, would you please close that? Okay, so in summary, everybody look at me. We did some comparing and contrasting of the 2 stories. We looked and answered a lot of questions. How are they the same and how are they different? Who can tell me, I'm going to pick 3 people to give me something that you will always remember about Jackie Robinson or about perspectives, because this is our unit theme. This is why we were reading the Jackie Robinson books, because it's totally about perspectives. So what will you take with you, Luke?
He tried his best.
Jackie tried his best. Aiden.
He sacrificed something from...
He sacrificed. Absolutely. Nora.
He was the first African American to play baseball.
He was the first African American to play baseball. Let's shift. I'm going to ask 3 more people my second question. And the second question was, what about your perspective? What did you learn about different points of view and different perspective? things aren't always what they seem. Luke?
That he can swim.
So, but how was that perspective? You're right. I think you're totally right. You want to think about it for a minute? Okay, Noah?
I think that it changed my perspective that he couldn't swim, and it seemed like he could do all these brave things, but he just can't swim.
Okay. Do people have different opinions about Jackie?
Yes.
Yeah. And you can identify with some of those opinions. Charlie?
Kind of with the black people and the white people.
So that was perspective. Looking at it from their point of view, from a black person's point of view, but then from a white person's point of view. Okay. Yes?
White people don't like him, and then black people do, and only like some people, like some white people like Jackie Robinson, but most of them don't, and then all black people like him. So everybody has a different perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because I'm glad that you did clarify. There were a lot of white people that were rooting for Jackie. And so it was all about that opinion. Yes?
Like some white people, when he went to the games and he was playing, some white people booed him, and then when you're in testing with the ice, there's a couple of white people that's asking him questions about all his career and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So they like him.
Absolutely. So we've learned a lot of things by studying these books and this whole idea of multiple perspectives. You guys did a very nice job. And so at this point we are finished.